Hi, it's Tim from the MK2 Golf channel, and today we've got a Mark II how-to lockdown edition. It's a weird time in the UK at the moment, as I'm sure it is all around the world, and of course the advice is to stay indoors. Now, if you've got a gaming YouTube channel or a craft YouTube or a makeup, health and beauty YouTube channel, you're probably putting out 3 or 4 videos a day. But please spare a thought for the car YouTubers who are really struggling right now, because frankly, I haven't got a car in my house. I've got a barn full of cars, but they're not getting much love at the moment. So I had to think about what video I could do with just me. Normally I've got Big Sam helping me out in the workshop, and I've often got Luke on the camera as well. Makes it a little bit easier. So kind of back to shooting the videos myself, and we'll see how we get on. But guys, look, it's a weird time. At the moment, 9 rolls of toilet roll could be worth more than an Oak Green 16 valve. And this could be scarier than your heater matrix going pop. Now, heater matrix in mind, I've got a couple of cars that obviously have got heater matrix issues. So we've got the barn find restoration. As you know from the previous videos, we've got to do a heater matrix on that. And the budget race car as well. For some reason, the heater matrix is disconnected and bypassed on that. So looks like that's 2 heater matrices we're going to have to do. So as you saw from the barn find restoration video, we stripped it out. And now we're ready to rebuild the boxes and put in a new heater matrix. I hope you find this video useful. Drop a comment down below. Let us know what projects you're up to while you're on lockdown. Guys, thanks for watching. Remember to like the video and subscribe to the channel. And so, like a lot of people, the spare room is now a makeshift office. We've got an office at home, but that's my wife's office, and I am definitely not allowed in there because I'd probably fill it full of car parts. So office is set up in the spare room, but for today we're going to chuck all the computers out and we're going to use it as a makeshift workbench. So I guess to start with, to rebuild a heater box, you need to get your heater box out of your car. So this is a right-hand drive Mark II Golf heater box. Now, as you can see, as with most of them, and you've probably seen the foam blowing out your vents at some point, the foam has completely come away from these vents. So while we strip this box down, we're going to change the heater matrix, and of course we're going to put some new foam on these covers to make sure it's all nice and sealed. So what bits do we need to rebuild this heater box? So obviously we've got the heater box. Now we're going to need a heater matrix. So good thing is packages are still getting delivered in the post. Otherwise I think we'd all be going completely stir crazy, and frankly my Amazon account is taking a hammering. So let's have a look and see what turned up. We got this giant box. This was about £50 worth of eBay's finest. So in the box, we've got a shipping label, don't need that. Some packing, don't need that. Now, this is what we came for. So we have 1 heater matrix, there we go. Comes with some foam in the box as well. And because this is kind of often neglected and they squeak, they kind of stop working. I thought while it was all apart, kind of made sense to go all out. So I thought while I was there, and frankly the credit card was in my hand, that we'd order a new right-hand drive fan motor. So again, they're getting to that age, they start to squeak, they don't work particularly well. I'm struggling to get in a carrier bag. So we've got a nice shiny new fan blower motor as well. Now, one thing you will notice about these replacement fans is that they don't actually come with the connector. But that's because this is the resistor. So what I've done is I've taken this one off of the old heater box, so you can see manufactured 1291. So that's quite a late one actually. Fair enough. So we'll connect this old resistor pack and connector onto the new fan and we'll be good to go. And of course, to replace the foam on the flaps, there's lots of theories around the easiest way to do it. Way that we've always done it and it works really well is with some spray glue, Hobbycraft's finest, some self-adhesive, like sticky back foam, if you will. That's about £1 a sheet, so really cheap. You only need one sheet to do this as well, so yeah, literally £1. So it's going to cost, and a bit of spray glue, a screwdriver, a pry tool to get the clips off the box, some scissors to cut the foam down to size, obviously. So we're going to start with these 4 screws with this foam cover to take that off the bottom to get a better view. With the foam cover out the way, we've got access to these clips which holds the blower section on to the main body of the heater box. Now we need to take the cover off the other side, just 3 screws here, and there's a screw in the other side to take this duct off the bottom of the box. Now when you look at it, you think you've got all the clips off, so it should just pull apart. Don't force it, because the chances are you've left one behind. And yep, there it is. Now you've got these tabs all the way around hold the actual box together, so you need to pry them apart. I find it's easier to slide a screwdriver in from the other side just to push the tab down and it just pops apart. So I go around the whole box doing this and just gently just prising them apart as I go along. Once you've popped all the clips off, the box should just come apart like this and you can see what you're up against inside. Now, if I'd thought about it, I would have took the actual heater matrix out while the box was in one piece. It's a little bit fiddly doing it this way, and yeah, do you know what? It's easier if you just pull the heater matrix out before you start. I don't know why I didn't, frankly, and yeah, it's a little bit of a struggle, but at the end of the day, it's no hardship. And that's it, one stripped down heater box. So it's actually not that difficult to get it apart, is it? So yeah, don't be afraid. So we've stripped it apart, and as you can see, it's filthy. There's crusty old bits of foam hanging around, falling out, still stuck to the flap. It's an absolute mess. So we need to take the flaps out and give them a good clean. So that is basically what blows out your air vents. I'm sure you've all been there. And look, it's just flaking off. This glue is, well, we saw the resistor on the fan was from 1991, so I mean, look at it, it just crumbles. Hit a bump, more stuff will just fly out through the vents, so it's not really going to do much. So we'll clean all that out and then we'll stick the new foam on. Now, the first time I ever did this job, it took me ages to get the flaps back in because I just forgot which way around they went back in. So take a quick picture and you've always got something to reference back if you get stuck. These don't take much to get them out, so just give them a quick little wiggle and they'll come out nice and easily. Now with the flaps out, it's just a case of peeling the old foam off, cleaning them up, ready to put your new foam on. So as you can see, this glue doesn't really hold anything on. It's brittle and it just flakes off. So I guess this is why you get foam flying out your air vents every time you hit a bump or turn your car on. So look, there's no residue left. So it looks like a little bit of a clean up and they're ready to stick the new foam on. Now I'm out in the garden for this one because you want to be in a well ventilated area. I've given the flap a liberal coating of spray glue and I've left it for a couple of minutes just so it starts to go a bit tacky. You want it just starting to go off so it bonds really well to the sticky back foam. Now it's a case of sticking your metal flap on the very edge of the sticky back foam and just pressing it down. It's really sticky at this point. I should have wore gloves. I know better than that, but never mind. And with the first side stuck down, just repeat the process. So a liberal coating of spray glue, let it go tacky. And after a couple of minutes, you're ready just literally to fold the foam over. So no precision here needed. Literally, you're making a sandwich. So press it down to make sure that the glue sticks nicely to the foam and smooth it out to get any air bubbles out. And just repeat the process for the second metal flap. So with that all stuck together, they need to be put somewhere overnight, ideally, with a heavy weight pressed on them. You could just put them straight back in the car, I guess, but I always like to just leave it a little while for that glue to go off and make sure it's stuck okay. So I'm going to go inside, put them underneath something heavy, and I'll come back to them in the morning. And just before I call it a day, I need to clean up all of this. This is all the horrible stuff that normally sprays out your air vents, but not anymore. It's going in the dustpan and brush and then straight in the bin. And now that's cleaned up, I can go and relax and come back to this tomorrow. Right, so that's been 24 hours, so that glue should be set nicely by now. Now, the eagle-eyed viewers out there will notice I did tell a little white lie. I said at the start you could do this job with one sheet of foam and it would cost £1. Well, I've used 2 sheets of foam, but you know what? I didn't think we were going to fall out over £1. So let's have a look, let's trim these down and let's get this fitted back up. These have both been sat underneath heavy objects for the last 24 hours. As you can see, there's some cable ties around one of the flaps. That's because it's got a curved in the metal. So you can't have anything laying flat on top of that as well. So what I've done is just secured it with some cable ties to keep that foam padding held down nicely. And to be honest, any excuse to use cable ties and I'm there. Now I'm going to trim the foam back because it's literally how I stuck it on. So ideally I'd use a razor blade, but I'm not in the workshop and I'm not best prepared for this. So I'm going to use some scissors, maybe a kitchen knife. So let's see how we get on trimming this back. So first up we'll start with the flat one because it's the easiest. So you can see here this is where the edges are. So with some scissors we're going to just carefully trim down there. Now, like I said, a razor blade is definitely the best option for this, but I don't have one, I'm at home. So we're going to use a kitchen knife. Now that's a lot better. Now I've trimmed that back, you can see, yeah, it looks all right. Looks a lot better than it did. We'll just give these a little bit of a clean, but do you know what? That's fine. So I've just trimmed the edges back to make sure it doesn't catch, and these little lugs here are where the little cup attaches that lets it spin freely in the heater box itself. So they just go on there like that, and then it's just a case of putting it back in the box from where it came. Now there is a third flap in the heater box that's attached to the cables, so it's a little bit more fiddly to take it off, and it hasn't got any holes in it, but it's still covered in old crusty foam that will blow out and just make a mess in your car. So it seems a shame not to deal with that while you're in there. Now what I tend to do is just wipe off all the crumbly dirty old foam, give it a proper clean, and then make a little paper template and just wrap it around, draw around it, and you've got the shape. I then take that shape, transfer that onto our sticky back foam, and then it's just a case of peeling it off, bit of spray glue, sticking it back on, and you're good to go. And just like that, that's the third flap covered as well. Now I've put the little round spinny things back on the ends of the flaps and slotted them back into their respective places in the heater box, so it looks just like the picture I took earlier. And now to put the box back together, you just slide the little round things into the channels that they sit in. And then from the top, just make sure they line up in these little holes. Give it a little wiggle, make sure it's okay. Now this third flap lines up just in here. And then it's just squeezing the box back together, and these clips will hold it in place. And now, as you can see, we have no holes in the middle of our flaps. So that should seal it nicely. And also we're not going to get all the foam blowing around our car, which is a bonus. And now we use the clips to secure the blower section of the heater box back on. And pop this vent section back on, lining up the screw holes, and you'll see why in a second. And it's because the screws on this side cover actually go through into these holes here. So make sure it's all lined up and then just tighten them up. Now, if you're still watching, well done for getting this far. We're into the home stretch now. So we're going to fit the resistor stroke connector to the new fan motor. So if you took your old one off, you'll see which way they go on and off. If not, just pause the video and you can look at the terminals there. Now this just slots in at the bottom and clips in at the top, and we're done. And now we've popped the connector and resistor back on this, it's time to just slot this into the reassembled heater box. Now just slot the motor in this way round and give it a twist, and you'll hear a reassuring click, and it should just line up there at the back. Now put the foam cover on and secure it with the 4 screws that go in the bottom. And that is a freshly rebuilt heater box. All we need now is a new heater matrix in there, and we're just about ready to wrap this up. Now this is the original heater matrix. As you can see, it was manufactured in December 1988. So it's done well, but it's time to replace it. Now this is the new pattern replacement. It was about £20 online. As you can see, it doesn't have any foam on the ends there, but it did come with the foam tape to go around the side of that to stop it rattling around. So I'm going to refit that, and then we can get this back in the box. Now, as you remember from the unpacking, there was this piece of foam tape in the box. Now this just wraps around the side of the heater matrix like on the original, I guess just to stop it rattling around in your heater box. So sticky back, peel it off, wrap it round, and then of course it's a little bit too long, so just trim off the excess with a pair of scissors. Now, you didn't think I was going to go to all this work and forget about a new foam gasket here, did you? It's about £4 online from VW Heritage. They're available on eBay. Chances are it's going to come from Heritage anyway. So for £4, it finishes the job nicely. Now we're just going to slot the heater matrix back in the box. Clips in the top, but there's always a little retaining screw. If it's a little bit loose, you can always just put that in the hole in the top. And that's it. We now have a fully rebuilt heater box with a fresh heater matrix and a brand new fan. So all that's left for us to do is to pop that back into one of our cars. So either the budget race car or the barn find resto. We've got to do another one, so it makes no difference. But it's going to be a while until we can pop it into the car, I'm sure. So guys, look, that was a longer video than usual. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you're tackling this job yourself, I hope you found it useful. So guys, please remember to stay safe, and I will see you on the next one. Like and subscribe. Thanks very much for watching. Cheers.